This is a certified hood classic.
Man, I'm just saying, like, on some real talk, man, just real 100 shit, bro. I'm just telling y'all, I'm glad to have y'all in my life, bro. Like, I am, bro. It ain't about the whole YouTube thing. It ain't about the numbers and shit like that. I don't give a fuck about none of that. I mean, I care, like, but I'm just saying, I don't give a fuck about none of that for real. What I mean is the shit that y'all say on a daily basis to have y'all in my life, bro. I just want to say, bro, I appreciate that. Sometimes nigga be feeling alone. I go over there, I be like, man, look at all these great ass people, cool ass people, bro. And I just want to say I appreciate that, y'all. No Patreon plug, no nothing, man. I'm just saying. Well, technically that was a Patreon plug, man. What's if I might as well go ahead with it, man. If y'all want to check out the Patreon, make sure y'all go down. Nah, but for real though, I'm just saying, man, I appreciate y'all, man. Without further ado, man, we're getting ready to check out what's the new South Park game about. Shout out to my boy Johnny, man. And without further ado, let's get started.
Let's go on down to South Park, have ourselves a time. Okay, so first off, we can break down the very few things that we do know about the upcoming game.
I mean, I ain't gonna lie to y'all, I liked the last South Park game. At first, when I first started playing it, I was like, what the fuck is this shit? You know what I'm saying? Got squares and shit, got all type of stuff. No, I didn't like it at first. It looked like too much shit, but as I got to playing it, I'm like, okay, I can fuck with this. And I feel like they're gonna keep that same, setup, you know what I'm saying? Because it just don't make sense to introduce a new one in it.
As vague as they are. For one, we know it exists. It was part of the huge $900 million deal made in 2021 that renewed the show through season 30 and sent 14 specials to Paramount Plus. 2, the game is being developed by THQ Nordic. They revealed a nothing of a teaser trailer, basically just confirming that the game is in development. Here's that if you want to see it.
Hot, 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 hot. Oh, it's coming.
And the last little tidbit we have is small but significant, and it came from Matt Stone himself in an interview with Bloomberg after their last big contract went through, talking about upcoming projects outside of South Park the series. Part of the quote is, "These are multi-year projects we invested a bunch of money in. We have a South Park 3D video game, release date unknown."
A 3D video game. A 3D. All right, man. That's what I'm like. I like to hear shit like that, man. Because I'm talking about, like, you get put on your glasses, 3D glasses, whatever. I ain't never really even. Nah, I did try the Oculus one time. But that's immersive. Imagine you being in a world. I don't know if I want to be in the South Park world, though. You know what I'm saying? I don't like being in the Dragon Ball Z world. You like to be in the Dragon Ball Z world until it depends on what person you are. Nigga, if you're Goku, maybe you feel better. But if you are just a random nigga in the Dragon Ball Z world and shit, like a random nigga to go to work and come home and fuck his wife occasionally, if you just a random nigga, it's terrifying as fuck. Niggas screaming down the road. Ah!
The eyebrow-raising aspect of this quote here is 3D, which would obviously be a departure from the way Stick of Truth and Fractured But Whole operated. Both of those games have a fully explorable South Park, but set on multiple 2D planes. You can explore as you desire, but the camera angles are fixed in a certain direction. 3D obviously implies a fully movable camera that can rotate 360 degrees, giving us a completely new perspective when exploring South Park. At first, this idea rubbed me the wrong way. It felt like the last 2 games had really nailed the formula for an explorable South Park. And since the show itself isn't exactly a 3-dimensional world, this felt like it would take away the feeling of being in a South Park story. However, I also know that Matt and Trey are absolute perfectionists when it comes to these things.
And it's their shit that they've been working on for years. That's their shit that they've been working on for years. And they've been experimenting with 3D, not 3D, but everybody doesn't walk to the side and walk into the side. The camera angles are different now. Go look at these South Park episodes, things that you don't realize, their camera angles are so much different, bro. So it's a good feeling to see. They're like, okay, you see the side of Randy's face, see the back of Randy's head, see the other side of Randy's face. You see all around them in just a regular scene that they be doing. So I think that's a good thing, though. I think that's a good thing. 3D, it might be, we'll just have to see how it is,
And they definitely would not be attempting this without serious quality control in mind. And what I think think
Right.
we could expect to see is something akin to the South Park title sequence that has been around for the past 6 or 7 years. The sequence does a great job maintaining the cardboard cutout feel of South Park, but fitting it into a more three-dimensional space. I've
Yeah, I
always
don't like
really
it, though.
admired this title sequence, and I think there's a reason they haven't changed it since it came out. And if they can deliver something that looks and feels like this in-game, I am 100% for it. But obviously the other huge question after getting fantasy and superhero adventures is what can we expect the theme for the upcoming game to be? Both
you're
games
right.
drew from existing South Park episodes for inspiration.
Mitch Connor.
Stick of Truth initially drawing from the Return of the Fellowship to the Two Towers, though obviously expanding on the fantasy aspects a lot.
This nigga
And
looks
Fractured
sick.
but Whole building around the handful of superhero episodes in the series, also expanding on the characters and abilities. So for the new game, would they draw from existing episodes for theming, or would they just build out something entirely new from the ground up this time? There are a ton of episodes that could make for good inspiration.
I think the fighting, the ninja warriors and shit, I think they're gonna do something like that this time. Because you know, like the episode where Butters got hit in the eye with the kunai and shit, fun time with weapons or whatever, that was a big ass episode. That or Imagination Land. Like I think we was talking about Imagination Land a while back. That or Imagination Land, I can see that.
So let's break down possible themes one by one.
That's bullcrap. Titanium alloy, my ass.
Season 8's Good Times with Weapons is an absolute fan favorite episode for good reason.
Facts.
It's genuinely one of the best the series has ever produced. But beyond the episode's quality, it's also another great example of the kids' imaginations running wild.
Right.
After they purchased dangerous ninja weapons at the fair, the kids imagine themselves in more anime-style animation with super ninja abilities. We're even treated to an anime version of Professor Chaos in this episode, of course before Kenny throws a ninja star in his eye.
Right. That shit ended it all right there, my boy. That shit was
This
a
is not
wrap.
only a fan favorite episode, but feels like a theme that is primed to be expanded on. Trey is a huge fan of Japanese culture. I expect he'd have a ton of fun going full anime for a sequel. Plus, if we could get an entire soundtrack of songs like Let's Fighting Love,
Yeah.
it would 100% be worth it.
What am I gonna do? My little brother's been abducted by
Let's
aliens.
fight in love.
You farted.
This is a little bit more vague because South Park has covered so much in the genre over the years, but going straight up sci-fi would make a ton of sense as well. The literal pilot episode featured visitors coming down and abducting Ike, obviously something that was paid tribute to back in Stick of Truth as well.
Right.
But sci-fi ideas are intrinsically tied to South Park's history, and it could be really cool
Boy, that boy was up there sucking a flea, wasn't
to
he?
see them finally
The fuck?
tie all of these disparate alien stories together in a bigger way. Planet Marklar from Starvin' Marvin in Space, the Juvians from Cancel,
Oh, hell
the
no.
Atheistic Future from Go God Go, or the Space Calf shenanigans from Pinewood Derby. There are tons of space possibilities built around existing episodes. Maybe we could see some kind of galactic council of aliens to showcase the representation from all of the species seen throughout the series. It's also been firmly established in the Fractured but Whole that the new kid's farts have time-bending capabilities,
True.
and we literally saw him travel through time already, so seeing the future from the Go
Niggas got dicks on their head, bro.
God Go episodes could be in the cards, though that future was continually altered thanks to Cartman's antics with the Crank Prank time phone. There are also other
True.
sci-fi stories that they could build on. Jeff Bezos being like those Star Trek aliens in season 22, the celebrity holograms from season 18, or
I
even
don't
the
like
living
that.
advertisements from season 19. All interesting sci-fi ideas they could use. Though sci-fi and the ability to time travel do play majorly into my South Park game pitch, so stick around till the end of this video to hear that.
Heaven versus
Yeah,
hell.
like that,
Oh.
don't you, bitch?
One place that South Park has never been afraid to go is hell.
I didn't think about that one though. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I did not think about that. The religious side, heaven versus hell, because you do got Moses, Jesus. You got so many things. Mr. Hanky. Well, I mean, I'm not, biblical or anything, but it's Mr. Hanky.
Satan was introduced back in season 1, and major chunks of the South Park movie take place in hell itself.
True.
Episodes like Do the Handicap Go to Hell, Probably,
Oh
Best
my
Friends
God.
Forever, and Hell on Earth 2006 all feature hell pretty heavily. There are even quests from South Park The Stick of Truth that were intended to be set in hell but were cut from the game. They've also featured heaven a couple of times as well, though generally less comprehensively. We really get the best look at
Tips.
heaven in Best Friends Forever when Kenny has to command the
Okay.
forces of heaven versus the forces of hell, though we don't really get a good look at the battle itself. Obviously, a battle of the afterlife would be one way to really escalate the theming of these games, but I also think it could be a fun way to follow up some South
Boy, the devil got fucked up by Man Bear Pig, didn't he? Got his ass beat. This nigga missing a horn and shit.
Park stories from the past few seasons.
not like
In
I
the episode
wanted him
Nobody
to
Got
win,
Cereal,
but
Satan
damn.
dies fighting to protect the Earth from Man Bear Pig, And as the boys cry over his dead body, his good deeds grant him his angel wings, ascending him to heaven. We've yet to see what the ramifications of this event are for both heaven or hell. Who is ruling hell now? Also, will Satan have to run into his ex, Saddam Hussein, who was banished to heaven from hell in Season 4? Focusing on a heaven versus hell conflict would provide massive scale for a video game and allow for some fun connection to the series' history.
You are a coon friend, and I'm the coon. You will listen to me.
It's no secret that Matt and Trey are big Lovecraft fans. They've said as much on DVD commentaries, and obviously Cthulhu and the Sunken City are both heavily featured in Season 4.
I don't like that little land that Cthulhu is from, or Cthulhu, whatever his name is.
Superhero
I don't like
trilogy.
that shit. What is
they
that
even
shit?
have a really impressive boss battle in the Fractured But Whole against the Lovecraftian god. A Lovecraftian god whose name I will not say. But not only that, the superhero trilogy heavily implies that Kenny's immortal origins are actually tied to the Lost City and have Lovecraftian roots. I think a Lovecraft-inspired theme could actually be one of the coolest possibilities for a South Park follow-up, and it could also finally give us a firm explanation and reveal for Kenny's Lovecraftian origins. I think a huge event video game would be a really great place for that kind of major lore reveal.
Okay, I can feel that.
Imagination! Imagination!
Are you gonna take us somewhere or not?
The one thing I hear most when people pitch an idea for Game 3 is Imagination Land, and I get it. There are just so many possibilities, both as a location to visit and as a potential.
They might be saving that. If they don't do that, they definitely know it's there. They might be saving that for like a bigger game, because they're putting out a lot more content frequently. South Park page on YouTube, the South Park website, the $90 million deal. It's crazy. It's still crazy to me. The $90 million deal. Then there's so many other things that they doing. That I'm just saying, in my head, I'm just like, come on, bro. You gotta understand that they putting a lot into it. So Imagination Land, that probably gonna be like one of the big ones, because you know you can have a part 1, part 2 to that.
So focus for the game. The Imagination Land trilogy remains one of the most fun series of episodes in the show's history. The epic locations, the sheer number of fictional characters on display, these make it such an enticing pitch. However, as much as I'd love this, I think with the legal hoops they'd have to jump through for the idea, it's not likely. It doesn't seem like South Park is afforded quite the same level of freedom in its games as it is in its series. Plus, I think Matt and Trey are more interested in crafting their own world than they are copy-pasting tons of other characters from history into this one. As much as I understand people's desires to see this, I wouldn't count on it. And I also think there's just much more possibility for narrative satisfaction if they aren't tied down by all of these other IPs.
But you know, one thing is though, you know, when you're talking about making a game like that, if you build up to it, if you definitely build up to it, Paramount or their father company, I would say father, they own company and shit. But I'm saying a big time company probably got more connects than we think. You know what I mean? Like, take Mickey Mouse for example. Just the rights to use Mickey Mouse, but not literally use him in, like, the rights to use Mickey Mouse as a character, like just a bumbling, dumbass character. Well, Mickey Mouse was never dumb, but look, I'm just saying the rights to use him as a character, how he really is, would probably be a lot more money than to use a spin-off version of him that's not really meant to represent him as a character. It's just meant to be a spin-off in a series that make fun of shit. I think that that's a lot more doable than actually making a Mickey Mouse movie and getting the rights from Disney. Like, this is like it's canon. It's easier to make a spin-off Dragon Ball Z and video game and just say, fuck it, we'll just pay for the rights. You know, it just won't be canon, than it is to make a canon episode. And I don't mean canon like something you shoot. That's heroin.
But we'll see. Okay, now that we've gone over some theme ideas, let's talk about locations and some of the ways we can expect South Park to change from the previous game. Between Stick of Truth and Fractured But Whole, we got a pretty substantially overhauled South Park, in large part thanks to some of the changes we saw on the show in Season 19. But since then, there have been some other pretty substantial additions to South Park itself. I don't think there is any way we will see a new South Park game that doesn't include Tegrity Farms, which has become one of the primary locations.
Oh, that'll be dope. Hey, a Tegrity Farms mobile Wii game though. Like, I play a lot of Wii Firm and shit like that. I used to really play it a lot back in the day. But a Tegrity Farms Wii mobile game, Or even a game just on there where you technically farms weed and shit, then you got to go to China and shit, fight. Oh,
locations
that'll be
since
dope.
season 23.
I ain't even gonna
And
fake
the area
with
has been slowly expanding as well with the addition of Credigree farms across the street last year. Season 25 also saw Cartman move into a hot dog-shaped house a bit outside of town. And then in season 26, this was converted into a huge theme restaurant called Dick and Bow's Hot Dogs, before Cartman eventually moved back into his old house.
Which
I think
Butters
this is another
owns.
surefire area we can expect to be able to
Butters is
explore in
rich
an
now,
upcoming
kinda.
game. I also mentioned earlier the possibilities of exploring further outside South Park, sort of like some quests we saw in Stick of Truth, which sent us to a UFO and even to an 8-bit Canada. But even if these themes don't pan out, Heaven, Hell, a Lovecraftian Sunken City, Imagination Land, all really cool possibilities for quests.
I kind of low-key like that 8-bit Canada, low-key. I'm just being honest with y'all. It gave me, like, old school vibes.
Locations.
Even
it
it was supposed to.
But the
I'm just
potential
saying.
of the 3D fully explorable South Park also gives them the ability to completely redesign South Park from the previous games, potentially fitting even more classic locations in. The way South Park is laid out in the first two games is ingenious, but it's also much more linear. The South Park intro shows a much more integrated version of the town. We could see more shops, more houses, and more paths leading to areas outside of South Park like Stark's Pond, Hell's Pass Hospital, Mephisto's Lab, Integrity, etc. But the possibility of a fully explorable 3D South Park also leads pretty directly into my major pitch for a new South Park game.
Right.
And here it is.
Okay.
I'll tell you one thing.
Let's hear what my boy got to say.
Deserve every ounce of our respect.
At the end of Fractured But Whole, the new kid achieves the ability to use his farts to travel through time. We see him use it a few times in the final stretch of the game, taking them to a future where Mitch Connor has taken over South Park, back to the opening sequence of the game, and even to his superhero origin story before that. The new kid's farting abilities improve each game. It would only make sense for him to fully control these time-traveling fart powers over the course of the next game. But how do you escalate those time-traveling abilities? With a fully explorable future version of South Park as seen in South Park post-COVID. That's right, baby. Let's go Blade Runner sci-fi for this one. And let's take a page out of the book of one of the greatest video games of all time, The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, which gave us two versions of Hyrule to explore, a thriving kingdom as a kid, and a dystopian nightmare as an adult. They did a ton of really great work futurizing South Park in those post-COVID specials, and though the narrative technically changed that future, I think this aesthetic would work great for a time travel focused game. To be able to fully explore South Park in the present and then see exactly how it's changed in the future. Maybe the narrative is actually about changing that future. Not unlike those post-COVID specials. You discover the future is fully dystopian, but each quest slightly alters aspects of future South Park for the better thanks to your intervention.
Wow, bro. You know what, Johnny? I like that, bro. I really do. You put some time and some work in on this, my boy. I ain't mad at you, bro. I am not mad at you. Look, I think that is a great idea. I didn't even think about the post-COVID episode, but y'all do know we will be playing this over on the gaming page. You do know that. You do know that now. I hope y'all know we'll be doing the live streams on YouTube and dropping the videos over on the gaming page, my boys. Now, I ain't playing. When that new South Park game come out, we're gonna be there, bro. Trust
This
me.
not only makes for a cool sci-fi narrative that builds on the lore and ideas in the previous game, and draws from recent South Park specials, but it would effectively allow them to double the size of the map.
I did not like Alexa.
The post-COVID specials were some of my favorite South Park in recent history, in part because we got to see a whole
Bitch could be listening, you know.
new spin on South Park itself, but I feel like only utilizing the future South
Sorry.
Park in two specials was almost a little bit of a waste. They made entirely aged up models for every single character and a fully updated look for South Park. Why not explore it all even more thoroughly in a time-bending video game adventure? And that's all I got for you. I think we should definitely not expect much in terms of updates for the next South Park game for a while. Matt and Trey definitely have their hands full with Casa Bonita and the next two specials for the year, but hopefully we start hearing whispers of their plans sometime next year. Looking forward to that. But what are you anticipating or hoping for most from the next South Park video game? Are there any themes I missed that you'd like to see? Let me know below, and I'll catch you next time.
You know, one thing that I will say, man. One, thank you for the great video, bro. That was a great video, bro. One thing that I do know about South Park is if they make the storyline and they get everything together, then they can have the game be created. And then boom, they can add voices later. You know what I'm saying? I don't know their process for making games, but I know they can definitely add the voices later on as long as the game itself is being created and they kind of have like the scenes and the timelines and all kinds of stuff like that. Or I don't know if they do voiceovers first. I mean, it would make sense if they do. But I'm just throwing shit out here, bro. Honestly, I'm just throwing stuff out there. It's good to have a talk, bro. So y'all, further in this talk, go down below. What do you think that they gonna do? What do you think that they're gonna do? Are they gonna do the future episodes, like the futuristic post-COVID? You think they gonna be Imagination Land, which he did bring up a good, devil's advocate to Imagination Land. But y'all tell me. Let me know what y'all think, man. And further ado, I don't know why I said woo.